All right, so as a game, I'm going to be inviting you to keep a dream journal for this week just to see how it goes. And I would just say do it one day, but really, because, sometimes you don't remember your dreams and your dreams are so different, and you really need at least a week's comparison points, to really feel like, oh, cool, how, different are my dreams from one night to the other, or what kind of theme is showing up here? Why do I always dream that I'm at a water park? Because, dude, that was real. I actually had a whole month of dreaming that I was at a water park like almost every single night. So, you start to notice these patterns, and it's interesting and amusing. So you're going to keep a dream journal, meaning you keep a journal beside your bed or a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to be this like big looming thing. I remember when people used to tell me to keep a journal, it felt like homework, or, like, oh God, I've got another responsibility or this other big looming thing to do or to not do or to get wrong. Like, it's just a relaxed piece of paper beside your bed so that you can write down or jot down notes on your dreams the second that you awake. So let me give you some tips though, because I've actually tried to do this, and it's actually pretty cool or funny how your brain immediately wants to forget those things. So if you wake up and you've got a little idea of a dream in your head, or like remember it, don't start thinking of what you've got to do that day, or don't get up and use the bathroom first. Like, write it down. Even if you write down some little notes because you don't have time because you've got to pee like crazy, to like actually write the whole thing down, just write some notes like yellow car, guy in back, broken tire, or, whatever. And write that down really quick so that you can go to the bathroom and then come back and write it later in more detail. Or the other thing that would happen to me is that I'd wake up because I had to use the bathroom, and I'd have this dream in my head, and it'd be all elaborate, like, whoa, I was just having this whole world happen, but I was still sleepy. I was not ready to be up for the day, and I was not ready to like sit there for 30 minutes and write down my dream. I wanted to go right back to sleep. So I would kind of wake up, but I'd be like, man, I'm lazy. I want to go back to sleep. I need some more sleep. I can't be writing a dream down right now. So just commit though. I mean, because otherwise you'll lose it. I mean, I have thought to myself like, oh no, I'll remember this. This was a crazy dream. It was elaborate. I'm never going to forget this. And then I do. I totally do. I wake up and I'm like, God, I don't remember anything that was happening. So I will just write down, like commit to writing down at least a word or two, and then I get to go back to sleep. I could write down like blueberry muffins and my daughter's friend, or, something that at least gets me going later when I'm trying to recall this thing. Write down at least like 5 words or something that'll help you. And then, go back to sleep. And this will make it less of a chore, just to realize that it's really informal. Just write it down in 4 words. But then, you can totally go back in there and fill it in later, because the details are cool. I mean, I didn't tell you much by just saying that it was like a blueberry muffin and my daughter's friend. But if I go back in and I fill it in and I say, okay, and this is what was going on, and, write it in. I'll tell you, part of the fun of this, I mean, sure, dreams are cool, and looking at what you've dreamt and the patterns that emerge are very awesome, and we'll get into that. But primarily, like, number one was, it was kind of fun to have a little writing project every day, just to write with my hand, because sometimes I don't. I'm typing all the time. Or just sometimes having this like creative writing exercise, because I was having to come up with ways to describe it. I was having to come up with like catchy little words or descriptive words, or even like quippy phrases to express what was happening, and like, what kind of attitude did she have? Oh yeah, she had, this kind of attitude. And I would, use shorthand, and it was almost like coming up with little shorthand jokes with myself to like understand, like, oh my God, yeah, that's a perfect way to describe her attitude. And that was great. It was like a creative writing exercise, and that was already something. Like, despite whatever the dreams were about, it was nice to have material that had come from my wacky head in the night when I was sleeping to creatively describe, and it definitely kind of works those communication skills or creative writing skills. And it was just fun to write or to have something to write. But then, yeah, on top of that, look at the patterns, if there are any. I mean, it could just be a bunch of wackiness, but occasionally something will happen, and it does seem like almost like dream interpretation. Like, it's very obvious what that symbolized. Like, oh gosh, that character was exactly like my friend Jamie, and everything about that person was basically that guy. And that totally describes like my feelings about, romantic partnership or not having a romantic partner, or, oh, I totally get what that probably stood for. But other times it's way more vague, and it's just like a wild ride. And you just notice like consistencies, like water parks. Why am I dreaming about water parks? And it's funny. And maybe I want to try to stretch and make some meanings, like water. Water typically stands for emotions, and I do love emotions, and I do want to just be hanging around by water in real life or in the emotional symbolic sense. Like, I do like to hang around by emotions, and maybe because it's a water park, then it's like got this playful element too, where everyone's coming together to play. And hello, don't we already know that that's what I am all about, is sort of taking the emotional, deep kind of side of life and bringing people together to do this playing thing with that. So yeah, like maybe, and it's at least interesting to consider. And then, aside from that, you can sort of also see remnants of your day, things that kind of stuck hard in you. Like, oh my gosh, I remember seeing that same book that was in my dreams in a TV show that I was watching last night. Woo, like that thing really stuck in my subconscious. And it's because I really loved it. It was beautiful. Or, you realize the things that had a heavy impression. Or, I was reading this post on social media about this thing that my friend said she had done one time. And I was just browsing it, but then I dreamt of that friend, like all night long, that friend that had done that thing that I read this little social media post about. And then you kind of like, maybe I should try that thing, because maybe it really stuck in my subconscious hard. Or maybe it was like, sort of more of a trigger or more of a thing than I thought. And I mean, or maybe not. Maybe you just like, it was just wacky stuff. It was just my brain processing the garbage. Absolutely. There are plenty of people that have theories that that's what dreams are about too. But it's interesting to play with the different things. Hey, maybe that was kind of my subconscious nudging me to try that activity that I read that social media post about, because then I ended up dreaming about my friend the entire night. Or maybe it's nudging me to call my friend, or maybe that was like something more significant than I was willing to let on at the time. Like, if I really stop and think about that activity, maybe that's an activity that I really don't think she should be doing. And I just kind of read over it quickly. But if I really stop and make myself stop, because my subconscious is kind of flagging me down, and think about it, it's like, ooh, I really don't think she should be doing that. Or I'm really opposed to this activity. Or I have mixed feelings about this. That activity that she thinks is so fun, I think it's like immoral. Or, I've got like shame or judgment around it. And maybe I just need to focus on my own shame or judgment and like get rid of it. Or ask and inquire what that's actually about. Because there's a part of me, some gunk in me, that was like resurfacing after I was stirred up in the department of like thinking of her doing that activity. And I was like, I've got some judgment about that. And I need to just like get in there and stir around and see what that's all about, and see if I can't understand that more or clear it or whatever. But this is the stuff. These dreams obviously come from our subconscious, or from, a part of us that is not readily available during waking times. And so it's interesting to explore that side that we don't usually hang out in our waking days, and just see what else there is to it. So it's really just an exploratory kind of thing. Like, give it a try. If you want to do it for more than a week, I also suggest. I mean, I've started doing it in a very regular way, like every single day for months and months and months on end. I think it'll be like a lifetime practice for me, because I find it so interesting, and I feel like I spend so much time asleep. I might as well take note of what's happening in there, just like my regular days. And I don't really even keep a journal for my regular days, but this is so hard to remember, these little blips that come up in your subconscious. Plus, they're kind of cool. I mean, I was like, if I ever write a book one day, I got material like everywhere. I got conversations, like really funny, great conversations that happened in a dream, that happened in really weird context that would never make sense in real life, but the conversation was cool, and it would make an amazing book conversation one day. Or, you know, some really deep insight of like, oh, in the dream, I was given all these different ideas to try, and like, I should really try some of them. Or I was doing all these things, or, you know, even like when you're trying to make life decisions, like, oh, I was moving to this place and I was doing this, like, maybe I should really consider that. Like, you know, are those great ideas? Are those things that I should be harvesting or collecting as like treasures that I can use in my everyday life? Or, you know, just like telling you things about yourself. Like, God, I keep having these negative dreams about this character, or these positive dreams about this character that really symbolizes or is very similar to this other person I know. Does that mean that like I'm not noticing how much I really like that person, or that there's some romantic potential with that person and I didn't know? Or maybe I should strike up a friendship with this person. Maybe there's really something there between the two of us, because there's like so much similarity, and my subconscious keeps having such a great time in these dreams with this character that's very similar to this person. So there's all kinds of amazing stuff that can be found and used as treasure in the dreams. So give it a whirl. And like I said, like, do it as long as you like, at least maybe a week, so that you've got some solid foundation of experience with it. And don't fret if you totally forget your dreams one night. All right, whatever, move on, and keep trying. But yeah, see what you think.